Welcome to Three Skulls Tavern, a channel devoted to tabletop role-playing games by Free League Publishing. This show is sponsored by WorldMill, online server hosting for the Foundry virtual tabletop. To support the show, head over to patreon.com/MattK. For a minimum of $2 per month, you get access to a ton of extra content. Hello. Welcome to August's Q&A. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not a Patreon supporter, basically this is a monthly Q&A that my Patreon supporters have access to, and they get access to the Q&A a week before it goes public to everyone else. So if it's something that you're interested in asking me questions, or if you're interested in supporting the channel even more, then look for the Patreon link in the show notes or the description below. There's also a link in yellow just down here. But yeah, we've only got 2 questions this month, so this might be a quick one. I've not actually read them in any detail, so this is going to be a bit spontaneous in terms of me answering them. So the first question is from JP, and it says, thank you for your answers last month. Very helpful. I think you should do a video on virtual tabletop for beginners. I know your time is tight now, but a great future project, perhaps. Yep. My question this month is about the modules in Foundry. Last month you showed some suggestions for Foundry, for Forbidden Lands and Alien. Now that the Twilight 2000 package is out, do you use many of the same modules, or are they different, and which ones have you been using in your solo game? Thank you again for your excellent work. I suppose I can just show my Foundry setup for Twilight 2000. That's probably the easiest way to do this. But I haven't looked at this in advance, so I need to log in and I need to get it up and running. To answer your question, we've only run one session with Twilight 2000 since the modules have come out, and that was run yesterday, in fact. So there's still an element of playing with the modules to see what kind of works with. Some modules have deprecated. They're no longer valid. They haven't been updated to the latest version of Foundry, which is currently version 0.8.9. So there's a little bit of pruning of the module list from what it originally looked like when I first started running Twilight 2000 on this channel. Even when I first started running our co-op campaign on this channel, because that's we just recorded our 5th episode, I believe. And earlier episodes were, I think the first episode was something like 3 months ago now, so maybe 2 months ago. So a little while ago, and it was using 0.7 of the Foundry rule set. So yeah, I mean, obviously for the official module, I'm using all the, if there's an official module, they are being used on this channel just because it's worth its weight in gold. For any game you might be running in Foundry, it basically provides all the content from the books, so you don't have to manually input things like gear, NPCs, maps if they exist are usually in there as well. Just anything you might need that's official content in the game. That's really what they're there for. And many of the modules also include a huge amount of the text from the books as journal entries that you can reference very quickly. So rather than having to flick out of Foundry and going into a PDF, it's all there. So obviously the premium modules I consider a very worthy investment for anyone looking to play a game in Foundry. Other than that, let me just pull this up. And let me see if I can pull it up here in So if I get rid of my full screen thing here. Get rid of that. Let's see what we get. Aha! Look at that. Okay. So, let me pull up the list. Let me just resize this slightly so you can see everything. Okay. Right, so if I go over here to my Manage Modules list here, there you can see all the stuff that's being used. Some of them have compatibility risks, but the ones that have compatibility risks that are less than 0.8 are ones I've tested to make sure that they still work. And Backgroundless Pins is one that I am still using. I'm using that one mainly because it is, if we go over to the command center scene here, these, actually, in fact, Backgroundless Pins we're not using on this one at the moment. I think I wanted to use, like, have the option if I wanted to use it. If I bring up this thing here, there is a way to add, I think it's this one here, journal notes. So I can drop a journal note in, for example, or in fact, I can just drag and drop. Nope. So I can click on a journal. I can go here, Outpost or Theater. I can drag that here, drop it on the map, and I can rename it. I can change what the icon looks like, so it's not a book. I can change the size of it. I can change the label, the font, etc. And that then becomes a journal entry on the map. If I double click on that during play, it will open the journal entry. So that's a really, really nice way in a game like this of having, as you're generating content, you produce a journal for it. And then it allows it to drop onto the map. Now that happens anyway. The thing with Backgroundless Pins is normally there's it's in the shape of a hex in this example. There would be like a dark hex all around it. You wouldn't be able to see anything in the background. So this just makes the background transparent, which just makes it look a lot nicer. So that's the only one that has a compatibility risk. Yeah. About Time, Calendar Weather, and down here Simple Calendar. All three of those go together to create a calendar-based app, which module, I should say, which you can see here down at the bottom. I've been using this for my Forbidden Lands game, and really, sorry, down here, I should say, because you can't see the bottom of the screen. Let me just resize this a bit. There we go. So this is, I needed a way to track time in Twilight 2000, or we needed a way to track time, and I didn't want to use just the kind of graphical thing where I'm turning a dial that just changes the shift. I wanted to actually track the day, the actual day and date, and therefore I've been using this one here. So that's something we've just started using the last time. So that's About Time and Calendar Weather. Compendium folders is another one. Custom hotbar gives this extra bar along the top here. Dice So Nice gives us the nice 3D dice. Easy Table is just there in case I need to add any tables. It makes adding tables like roll tables, which are the basis for all of my macros here. It makes it so easy to add them. I've spent many hours manually inputting all these tables before I realized that this was a module that existed. Unfortunately, I'd finished all of my tables before I realized that this was there, but it's now a go-to standard entry for me for any new Foundry world that I create. Because if I need to create new tables, and I am I would say I'm like an intermediate Foundry user now. I'm not afraid to create tables. I'm not afraid to create like macros and things like that. And really, if I want to create more of them, I don't want to be doing them manually anymore. GM screen is absolutely a must. Like this is, if you're not using GM screen, you're really missing out. So GM screen is absolutely something you should be using. These libraries are supporting some of the other modules that are activated. So some of them will, when you're trying to activate a module, it will tell you that you need one of these anyway. Minimal UI is this thing on the side here, which shrinks down this like players thing here. I can click on the icon for Twilight 2000 in the corner, and it hides all of the UI. I can have it make it so that it starts with the right taskbar minimized as well. The only thing that it's currently not working with is minimizing the hotbar. And the reason that won't work is because it does actually say if you're using custom hotbar, that conflicts with it, and it won't allow the hotbar to be hidden. That's fine. I really like having the custom hotbar, so I'm just happy with that being the only UI element that won't shrink down. That's fine, because I really need that. Monk's Enhanced Journal is a journal enhancement. I haven't really started using it yet, but it looks good. It's quite new. Yep. Pin cushion, I can't remember what that does, but it has something to do with dropping pins down here, which is that thing I was looking at earlier with the UI. So if I double click on that, or just single click on that again, that allows, this pin thing here. I think I can't remember exactly what it does, but it was worth having in conjunction with his Backgroundless Pins. Reverse initiative order is a must-have for Twilight, for any Year Zero engine game because of how initiative works. Simple calendar, I already mentioned before, is necessary to get this calendar functionality. Trigger happy provides triggers that can basically happen. A trigger is basically like an if statement, that if something happens, then this whatever you've got there will be triggered, and it can be automated things. A macro might be rolled. All sorts of things can happen. I've never really used this or done anything with it. Tony, who is obviously the second half of my co-op game here, he's really keen on it. I think he may have used it for one or two things, but I've not really looked into the functionality of this. So this might be something I might need to start using in future, or we might start using more heavily in future, especially for solo stuff. But at the moment, we're not using it. And then we've got the Twilight 2000 core set and Year Zero Actions. Now, Year Zero Actions isn't actually working with Twilight 2000, unfortunately. The way this would normally work on a battle map, for example, if you click on a character, let's go to the Actors tab here. You right-click on a character, you go here to the status effects. It adds two status effects. It should add two status effects. One says fast actions, one says slow actions. And it's just an easy way to click on it. Like when you're using this character, you just right-click on them, you go here and you say, okay, I've used their fast action, I've used their slow action. That's good for like Overwatch, things like that, where you're holding an action back. There is a way to do this in Twilight 2000. You double-click on a character sheet. For some reason that's not coming up. You go over here to combat, and you can actually track, whether they've used them. But if you're going through a big long combat, I don't want to be clicking and opening character sheets constantly to just basically track that. It's much easier to just right click and say click there. Anyway, but it's not working. It's not compatible with Twilight 2000 for some reason. So yeah, it is what it is. And that is that, really. I'm not quite finished with your question, because I want to go back to what you said before about doing a video on virtual tabletop for beginners. And I think specifically doing some Foundry videos. People have done Foundry videos in the past. There's some really good tutorials out there, so I wouldn't really want to retread old ground. But what I think might be useful, that I think a lot of people are asking me about, is setting up a Foundry instance for solo play specifically, or setting it up specifically for Forbidden Lands or for Twilight 2000, something like that. And that is something that I would like to do. It's just finding the time. At the moment, I'm very busy with other things going on. But it is something that I absolutely would like to do sometime in the future. So yeah, it's a good suggestion. It's something I've already been thinking about. I have, as if you may have noticed, I have started doing some tutorial videos on the channel. I kind of experimented a while back with doing a PDF kind of comparison video, specifically looking at rendering times for PDF readers. That has actually continues to have comments, even though it was about a year ago now when I created it. It's had a lot of views, and it's just kind of, this channel is all about Year Zero engine stuff, but tutorials are quite popular. They will stand the test of time because people do want to know about these things. I can tell that it's very useful content for people to watch as well. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in continuing, because people are finding it really useful. If I'm creating this content and nobody's watching, I'm barely getting any views, then that's something different, because it obviously means there's no appetite for it. But currently, I'm getting a lot of good feedback on stuff, which generally means I'm going to continue doing stuff like that. Okay, so thanks, JP, for that question. And the second question for today is, for this month, is from Attila. Hi, Matt. What is your plan when I break up? Will you completely shut down, or will you have a guest host once a month or anything like that? So if you haven't heard already, my wife is pregnant with our second child, and she is due at the beginning of December. So the plan is, whenever that baby drops, the channel is going to go silent for a period of time. And to answer your question, Attila, I'm not planning on doing anything with the channel. I want to really focus on my family, on my wife's recovery, and I just like trying to keep the channel going is not really going to work. Having a guest host on could be an option, but really I think just to make things easiest for me and for everyone else, I think I'm just going to basically park the channel for a period of however many months it takes before I'm ready to come back. So yeah, it's not completely shutting down. It's a temporary. I'm going on temporary hiatus. I'm going on paternal leave, if you will, from the channel. So I do have every intention of coming back. I'm already planning a campaign for when we come back, a big Mutant Year Zero epic campaign, working through all of the 4 core rule books, and then ending with a Grey Death run through as well. So that's going to be happening. I have been planning a One Ring 2nd edition solo campaign, which is something I'm very keen to be playing. And that'll be pre-recorded. That's actually something I'm planning on recording while I'm off with my paternity leave. So that basically is, if I happen to have a bit of free time for whatever reason, maybe I just wake up in the middle of the night because my sleep schedule is completely screwed. And I'm wide awake and it's, 3 a.m. in the morning. My 6-year-old son is asleep. That means, oh, you know what? I can't sleep right now. I'm going to go record a session of my One Ring solo game. And that's, pre-recording it means I can record it whenever I have time. It being solo means I don't have to rely on anyone else. And that's something that I can potentially do while I'm in the midst of kind of baby craziness. It might make for a very interesting solo campaign because I might be a bit gaga from sleep deprivation and children screaming constantly, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's something that's probably the only extent of what I want to be doing with the channel when it comes to that. I'll probably still be looking at Discord. I'm not planning to switch off things like notifications from YouTube on my phone or anything like that. So, if I get comments from people, on the YouTube channel, I will be responding to them. It might not happen immediately. It might take a day or two before I get around to them, but I'll still be answering them. But yeah, in terms of new content, there will be a big pause on the channel. I think. Now, it might be that I might come back every now and again for some surprise content. That just means obviously subscribe to the channel. Make sure that little bell icon is showing everything, and that means when new content comes out, you will get an email alert, and you'll be aware that I've actually created something. Alternatively, head over to my Discord channel. The link is just in the ticker down below. And the Discord, if stuff comes up in Discord, I have a channel devoted to YouTube content. So anytime, it's like an announcements sort of channel. So anytime I have a new, YouTube video, I put a link in there. So yeah, we'll see. The plan though is take it easy, focus on family, and when things start kind of stabilizing a bit, come back to it. Now, I've heard a lot of people saying, laughing and smirking and saying, oh, second baby. People who have 2 or more kids saying, second baby is actually a lot harder than the first one. But pretty much everybody I've talked to had their second baby when their first one was like 2, maybe 3. So possibly still in nappies, really kind of like needing a lot of focus and attention. Our first child is 6 and will be 6.5 when the baby comes along, is already starting school next month. So he's a little bit more autonomous, a little bit more, independent than a 2 or 3-year-old would be. In addition, we live next door to my in-laws, so they will probably be able to help out a lot with kind of child-related stuff. So it's possible that the second child kind of difficulties that a lot of people have won't be quite as extreme in my circumstance. So it might be I'm able to come back after only a few months away or something. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna have a quick look at the YouTube to see if any of the Patreons. Ed is in chat. Hello, Ed. I've run out of questions, so Ed, if you've got a question, now is the time to hit it with me in chat. I'll give you 30 seconds. Yeah, otherwise I'm probably gonna end it here because that's I've only had the 2 questions. I'll just do a refresh on the Patreon page as well, just to see if someone snuck a cheeky one at the end. They haven't. So yeah. Yeah. I've got a couple of other announcements to make, but I'm planning on making an announcement video separate to this one. So I think some of you will have known. Some of my Patreon supporters will know that I was what's the right term for it? Free League have commissioned me to write the rules for the solo, the official Forbidden Lands solo rule set. It's not going to be a separate book. It's going to be an appendix at the back of the Book of Beasts. I'm allowed to talk about it, at least allowed to talk about my involvement on it. And so it's going to be similar to the Twilight 2000 solo rule set. So an appendix, not like, I don't know, somewhere around 4 to 10 pages, somewhere in that ballpark. And an appendix to the Book of Beasts. So there may be something coming out later in terms of like a standalone thing, but really the intention, it was unlocked as a Book of Beasts extra, and that's where it's going to end up. So that actually, the timelines for me to create a first draft manuscript of that are fairly tight. I need to get it out in November to Free League to look at. So I'm also going to be quite busy the next couple of months trying to get a playable playtest of that. I've got some people lined up for playtesting it. They're going to be giving it a whirl, providing feedback, and then I'll be iterating on it before I actually give it over to Free League. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I don't look pretty excited right now because I'm tired, but I am very excited about it. Yeah, and that's going to kind of dominate things a little bit. It means Pitchfork is going to be put on the back burner while I'm focusing on that. But Pitchfork is still, like, once that's out of the way, Pitchfork is still my main design focus. Yeah. Attila's just said, loves the new chair. So this is another change to the channel that's quite recent, because it's only been built yesterday. Behind me there, so this thing right here going across is a standing table. As you can see, there's like these big long legs there. That was my desk that I was using for a very long time, and due to some health issues I started noticing, I've been using that for a year or more, and started having health issues with my feet specifically, and went to see a specialist, like a health specialist, about it. Had some scans and stuff done as well, and really I was told you need to not have a standing table anymore, a standing desk. So that's fine. It's nothing serious, by the way. I'm not gonna, it's not like I don't want to kind of blow it out of proportion or anything, but it's basically I've been advised that I shouldn't be, it's not something that's suitable for me specifically, at least for standing. I had been standing for a year, almost every day. I would stand for maybe 4 to 8 hours at this desk, so it's a lot of standing at this desk. Anyway, so I now have a normal desk and a chair. This is my seriously ugly chair, but it's very comfortable, and I got it for like less than half price because it was on sale. So I'm happy with it, and that's going to be the backdrop to a lot of my videos going forward. This gray chair. So yeah. No questions coming in the chat, so I suppose I will be ending it here. So thank you very much to the Patreons who asked me the questions. That's JP and Attila. If you have any questions for me for next month in September, there will be a call for questions going out at the beginning of September, and you basically just drop the questions in that Patreon post, in the comments for that Patreon post. And then I will go to that post at the end of September and do a video like this one where I'll answer them. So wait for that. It won't be too long. It'll be, I think, this weekend, possibly, when it goes live. So yeah. Thank you very much, and I will catch you next month. Cheers.